What is cybersecurity? I wish I could give you a simple answer to that question, but it's really a complex question. A complex question that would depend upon who's asking the question and who's answering the question. So what we're going to do is give you a very high-level overview of cybersecurity, defining it as an interdisciplinary field of study, an academic major, a process, a social problem, a business problem, a privacy issue, an individual concern, a possible business, and a possible career. So let's dive into these different areas. Cybersecurity is an interdisciplinary field of study. Often when folks, researchers, scholars, research cybersecurity, they may tend to do it within their own discipline. You're going to hear a lot about this notion of interdisciplinarity. What it essentially suggests is that we're bringing together multiple disciplines that integrate information from each discipline to provide an integrated framework and an integrated foundation from which we can understand cybersecurity. These disciplines would include engineering, computer science, information technology, business, philosophy, criminal justice, psychology, political science, and law. You'll hear a little bit more about each of these disciplines, and we'll go into more detail with some more than others. But the basic point here is that cybersecurity is an interdisciplinary field of study that is relatively new compared to these other disciplines. Cybersecurity is an academic major. Here at Old Dominion University, students could select a couple different academic majors related to cybersecurity. One of them is simply what we call cybersecurity, and this particular major provides a general overview of cybersecurity, where students would take a couple of classes that are what we would call core classes in interdisciplinary thinking, but also core classes in either cyber law or cyber ethics or a related type of class. There's cyber policy that would be included, and the notion is that we're bringing together those disciplines. We have this core, and then students would take what are now called foundation classes and application classes. And those are the classes that fall into those different disciplines like information technology and computer science, computer engineering, and modeling simulation and visual engineering. These courses together give the students a very solid, in general, introduction to cybersecurity. We also have a cybercrime major here at Old Dominion University. Now this one includes core courses, some of the same core courses of the cybersecurity major, but it has a few more basic information technology and computer science classes, and it also requires students to take some criminology and criminal justice courses to give students that foundation. And there are also courses in digital forensics, cyber law, and additional related courses that we ask our students to take. In many ways, this is an interdisciplinary major that brings together the frameworks and perspectives of criminal justice with the frameworks and perspectives of cybersecurity, and prepares students for careers in digital forensics or other related types of professions. Now, enterprise cybersecurity, this particular major is offered in our College of Business, and it's actually a business Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Information Technology with a major in Enterprise Security. And this is for students who are interested in applying those information technology, cybersecurity principles specifically in the framework of a business. This is our newest major, yet there is huge potential for students who join this major. Then cyber operations. This one is more of an engineering heavy type major. It's for students that are involved in some of the higher level cybersecurity efforts. It's probably has the most challenging math requirements of all of our cybersecurity majors, and that's so that we can prepare students for what they need to know in their upper level cybersecurity courses that would be included in this particular major. Now, all of this is just simply to point out that there are many different avenues to understand cybersecurity, and we have some of those here at ODU. In fact, I would suggest that we have the vast majority of what would prepare students for various types of careers. What I don't show in this chart is that we also have certificates in computer science, and we also have certificates in engineering that are related to cybersecurity, and we also have a brand new master's program in cybersecurity. In addition to being a major in an interdisciplinary area of study, we can also describe cybersecurity as what we would simply call a process. Cybersecurity is a process. And what I'm talking about here when we say that cybersecurity is a process is that those who are providing cybersecurity, they don't just imagine it. It doesn't just happen. It's not a given. Indeed, cybersecurity professionals must go through a specific process in order to provide security to whatever cyberspace those professionals are charged with overseeing. Now, we can identify a couple of stages here, and while we talk about these stages, it's important to note as part of this process, they will often overlap. But the very first stage we can point out is that cybersecurity professionals, and that would include anybody that works in a business, should be involved in identifying risk to a computer network. Now, I say it's anyone that works in a business, but it's also anyone that uses a computer. If you think about your own cybersecurity efforts, at some point, whether you thought to yourself, I am going to identify risk, you may not have thought about it like that, but at some point you made a decision to secure your computer. When you made that decision, you were making that decision based upon the risk that you've identified. So identifying risk is the very first step in that cybersecurity process. The next step is we develop the security. We figure out what the risk is, and then based upon whatever we've identified as that risk, we develop security mechanisms that help us to protect our cyber infrastructure. Then we assess our effectiveness. We determine whether or not it's working and whether or not we need to do things a little bit differently. And you do this also with your home computer systems. You determine, am I going to renew this particular virus protection? Am I going to get a new one? And you're assessing that effectiveness as you're going through this cybersecurity process. At some point, we re-identify risk, and we make that determination, are we going to strengthen our security? So cybersecurity is a process. In addition to being an academic major, in addition to being an interdisciplinary area of study, you can certainly say it's a process. Cybersecurity is also a social problem. It's a social problem in a number of different ways. Let's really, truly recognize that virtually everything we do as humans is social. Our interactions are socially based. And indeed, in the past decade, our interactions, our social interactions, have been more guided by technological devices and technological solutions than they've ever been before. So technological solutions, though, are only going to work when those solutions are accepted by humans. This has been noted on blogs. This blog, secureset.com, for example, writes extensively about these ideas and about these notions that the social aspect of cybersecurity is driven by these ideas that behavior is social, technology is a part of that interaction, and that we only accept that solution, technological solutions, will only work when humans accept them. It's also been noted that cybercrime, which you'll hear a lot about, that's a social construct. It's not a legal construct. There's no law that says cybercrime is illegal. Now, there's laws that talk about the behavior that constitutes cybercrime, but cybercrime itself is a construct. It's a concept that sociologists, criminologists, cyberologists, or cybercriminologists, there are those out there, have come up and described this concept. Importantly, we should also note that social consequences are affected by social status. In fact, in her blog, Alex Kryland describes this case, and I'll summarize it here. A case where we have an unmarried woman, 35-year-old, doesn't have a lot of money. She gets by check to check, uses her debit card where she can at convenience stores or the shop at the discount stores. And what she's doing is she's probably using her credit card or debit card at places that may not have the highest level of security. And then she may be scammed if she's in another country, and she's seen as a target because she's in that other country. She's using this at a less safe place. Alex then says, consider Anna. More well off, law degree, lots of credit cards, shops in all the best places, and she uses her debit cards and credit cards and those sorts of things at these businesses that probably have the highest levels of cybersecurity. What's going to happen is one of those groups is going to be higher at risk than the other group for being victimized as a result of the cyber security levels of the places that they are socially interacting. You cannot separate social interactions from technological interactions. When you think about your day and what you've done in the daytime, virtually all of us use technology to communicate with other people, whether it's on our phones or our emails or our Instagram or our tweets or our Pinterest or our Facebook. Whatever it is, we're using technology, and some of us have a lot more security in that technology than others just by virtue of the very place we're using that technology. That certainly has social implications, as well as the fact that our social interactions and the way that we're communicating is driven by that technology. We'll show later how that socialness, if I can call it that, has actually created new opportunities for people to harm one another, for people to hurt one another. And to suggest that cybersecurity is a tech problem, to suggest that cybersecurity is a software problem, to suggest that it's a hardware problem or a computer problem, any of those sorts of things, grossly ignores and understates that tremendous impact that social behavior has on technology and the tremendous social consequences that victims have from those cybersecurity incidents.